of all, have you heard the Denny Hamlin podcast or caught wind of his comments yet?
I have not. I've been trying to this year, I'm trying to just totally stay off social media for the most part. So I have not listened to Denny's podcast. I've heard some rumors, I guess you would say, about it, but I haven't actually heard it.
So basically, I mean, just to paraphrase, I mean, he felt like, you could have waited longer to make the move, give us a chance to race off turn four. He felt like, looking back now, a couple of days later, do you have any different thoughts, than your initial reaction having watched the race on the two wrecks? How do you feel about all of it?
Yeah, I mean, even when we got out of the car and I saw Denny right after, I told him yeah, I feel like I should have waited for the front stretch. There were definitely things that made me want to take that run on the back stretch. When you have because I got such a big run from the 19 pushing me, and I was probably a couple car lengths back at Denny at the time. I just tried to take the run. It was last lap. I tried to take it. I knew I probably should have waited for the front stretch, but it's one of those things. You learn for the next time, but. And then also having the 35 spin out on the front stretch, it was kind of like, oh man, these guys are all wrecking. You gotta get to the lead now. So you just didn't feel like you had a second to waste. But yeah, looking back at it, I definitely would agree. I wish I waited for the front stretch and gave myself a little bit better shot at it. With the wreck, I think at the end of the day, it's just all three or four guys trying to go for the same place at the same time. Us and the 11 side drafting, and then the 19 ended up hitting me in the left rear and turning me into Denny. But I don't really fault anybody for that. I feel like everybody's just trying to side draft and push and trying to win the Daytona 500. So, I was just happy we had a shot to win, and hopefully we can keep it rolling.
You think you walked away with the conversation with Denny Hamlin, that you felt like you kind of expressed your conversation with him and that you were fine when you left?
Yeah, I mean, he was a little bit frustrated when he first came up, but I just told him I needed to see a replay. There's so many people that are hitting each other on those last laps and how it all, comes together. So I made sure I saw a replay before I really had a great opinion on anything. But yeah, I felt like it was, we were both calm about it. I think we are both frustrated we didn't win, but it was a calm conversation after.
Yeah, Cole, we've talked a lot about the last lap wreck, but I was curious on the Christopher Bell incident. If, like, you looked at that, is that the same thing, or was there something different about that one, or what happened there?
Yeah, I look back at that one too, and Christopher actually texted me on Monday, and he's like, "Yeah, my car just couldn't really take a push that great all day, so there weren't really any hard feelings. It seems like there. I mean, if I was going to do it again, I wish I got just a tick more square on him. Maybe that would have helped it. But it sounded like he was kind of, chasing his car a little bit all day, so it just wasn't the best situation. But when it's five to go, you're going to have to push and shove, it kind of is what it is. You try and help the guy as much as you can out front. And there's definitely things I can learn from that to try and make it better. But yeah, I hated it because I mean, honestly, I think that was the first time I've ever wrecked anybody on a super speedway off my bumper. So after I felt horrible, but when you look back at it, I mean, it sounds like he was kind of chasing his car a little bit.
Eh, this might seem like a weird question, but I'm curious. Like, did most guys who get are involved in the last two wrecks of a race don't do a Zoom 2 days later? So I'm curious, are you doing this because, like, hey, you had a great finish, or you feel like you need to make sure your side is understood, or just because Dan asked you and you said yes?
Dan asked me and I said yes.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, I know my point of view on it. I don't know what else to say. I think you're all going for the same spot. Yeah, I wish I waited to the front stretch to make that move, but there are reasons I made it on the back stretch. And yeah, I think it's racing for the Daytona 500.